Welcome back to the Hero Prop Project Part 6 in an Autodesk Maya. So this is where we left off in the last tutorial. We have the cap shield, and one thing I noticed was that the belt loop, the strap option was a little bit different than what I had here. And that's just because I didn't pull it out through this area here. Very easy to sort of fix. All I gotta do is select it, right click, go to vertex mode, and then grab these verts here, and then hit W and sort of pull them up so it looks more like the loop is sort of coming out from that unit a little bit more. Might need to scale it up a little bit too, is one thing I'm noticing here when I go back to object mode. Each of these may need to scale out just a little bit. So it's a minor adjustment. It's due to the fact that the other one was just a little bit bigger in terms of the size. So click on this one, scale it up a little bit also. Yeah, that looks pretty good now. And that one will go through okay. So everything's pretty much there. So this one I can turn off now. So one thing I wanted to point out was that I actually went through and named each piece. So you can see here it says center R strap B. And then I click on the top one, it'll say center R strap A. You want to basically find some sort of naming convention for your objects in your scene. And each of them, like for example, this one has center R bracket A, center R bracket B. So the R is for the right side basically. So I don't have a name yet for this device, which would be maybe I'd call it right support or something like that. So all you got to do that is call it, could call it support underscore R underscore maybe for straps or something like that. Call it straps so that we have some indication of what it is for. So this is for the straps. And so that's basically what you do. And then at that point, then you can duplicate them very easily. So for example, on this device, I want to duplicate this. So what I got to do is hit Control D or Command D and then move it into place. So what I would have to do is essentially is probably best to do it from the, well, that top view is not exactly going to work out exactly because it's showing through the other way, but you basically want to move them into place wherever you want to be. So for example here, and then you would spend time rotating it and so forth to get it into place. So this can take a little bit of time to do this for the one side, but once you have one side down, you will basically, there's a very easy way to duplicate the entire other side. So I mean, that looks pretty close to what I want it to be. Maybe nudge that up a little bit like that. Maybe needs to rotate a little bit more too. Something like that looks pretty good. And then now I would call this, instead of center, I could rename it, top, for example. So highlight center here, call it top. It's still the right side. So, and I can still call it bracket A because there's going to be a bracket B down here, so that's fine. Now I can duplicate it again, hit Control D, move it down into place here, and this one, right now it looks like, let's see, we're in orientation of world. Sometimes if you double click on the tool and choose object orientation, sometimes that'll help out, it'll work a little bit better. So I'm going to do that for this, especially after you've sort of moved the object, then it will orientate towards the object and it will align with the other one here. So on this one, what I would call it, let's open up the channel box here. Looks like my channel box for some reason got undocked here. That's kind of weird. Let's see here. There we go. Bring it back up. Whoa. Weird things happening. Alright, so it looks like channel box modeling. Okay, so what I need to do is drag this and dock it right in there. Right there. It doesn't want to dock for some reason. Let's see here. There we go. Finally got it docked. Sorry about that. So now in here, I would call this, instead of A1, call it B. And so now I have the B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause while I duplicate the rest. Now to duplicate this guy, I don't need to duplicate the whole unit, just this one strap. So I just want to show you this real quick. Again, Control D or Command D to bring it out, and then basically move it into place, rotate it, and so forth, and do the same thing down here. So I'm going to pause while I do that real quick. Alright, so I cleaned up, I duplicated my scene here, and what I wanted to share with you is how easy it is to mirror objects across the stage here. But first I wanted to explain the outliner a little bit here. So I have a hotkey set up for outliner here, and it popped up in my other display here, so let me bring it over. So Windows, if you go to Windows, go down to outliner, there it is, and I already have outliner open here. And what I want to share with you was that you might have an object that's not named, like these couple objects here, and then you may have this group which, if you open it up, actually has a couple objects. Sometimes that happens, and to get rid of that group, what you have to do is delete history and then freeze transformations and the center pivot on each piece. So when you do that, you basically get rid of the group. So now the group should be on its own, but it looks like it's still in there. So sometimes what you have to do is middle click and drag it out of the group, and middle click and drag it out again, and then you can get rid of this group node, which is basically nothing there. But basically I essentially want to get rid of all of this old geometry here that I have on this layer here, basically. So I can right click, select objects on that layer, and then just hit the delete key, and basically I have nothing in there now. So in my outliner, it should be very clean now. So I have essentially the shield, which is the main shield, the star on the top, and then I rotate here. I have the support R straps, and everything else should be R basically. So I have the center for the brackets A and B. I have the strap A and B. I have the brace A and B, and this one, which is another A, it looks like. Or no, I have A, B, and C, sorry. And then I have the top, which has the brackets again, A and B. And then you can see there top brace, and then bottom with bottom straps and everything there. And then finally these three groups are basically the bolts. So I took the bolts and grouped them together. And the way you do that, I'll share with you in just a sec, but you can open it up and you can see how each one is labeled. Bolt R, A, B, C, D. In the illustration there was a lot more bolts than I think was necessary. I think this is plenty to kind of share off the whole thing. So what I can do to group all this stuff, now I don't need to group the shield and the star, but I kind of want to group all these units underneath this. So what I'm going to do is hold the shift key and click on all these right there. So I've selected everything on that unit there, and then you can go to, I believe it's under edit, and here it is, it's group. There's a hotkey of Control G or Command G on the Mac, and now I can call this group whatever I want. So I can call this right brace or right something. I'm going to call it right straps maybe. Yeah, because there's plural, several of them. And then you'll see the pivot here is right here in the center. This is what's great about modeling in the center. So to duplicate things, you'll look in the outliner here. What you can do is hit Control D or Command D, and then what you can do is scale X, Y, and Z with a value of -1. And what that'll do is it'll flip it over here on the other side. But now what is happening here? It scaled it, but it didn't rotate it properly. So what we can do is we need to rotate it by, let's see, if we rotate E and flip. I believe it would probably be 180 degrees, right? Yeah, so we'll go negative 180 here. There we go. Because the original construction was the other way around. And just like that, I now have everything on this side. So what I would rename this is, instead of right side, call it left straps. And then I can get rid of the 1 here at the end. Now if I want to rename everything on the inside here, I would have to come in here and just replace these R's with L's basically. Just like so. So yeah, that's pretty easy to basically bring it over, duplicate it, and voila, just like that, we now have straps on both sides. So the shield's looking pretty darn good. We've got straps on both sides. We have the bolts. In between tutorials, I might add a few bolts inside the shield if I want to. I don't know if I want to. I might. In the next tutorial, basically what we'll talk about is actually applying some materials to this to create some color and some texture. So until then, see you soon. Cheers.